Today, I'm changing plans at the last minute and flying Thai Airways A350 business class from Bangkok to Stockholm. I've flown this once before a couple of years back and found it pretty underwhelming actually. But non-stop back to Stockholm on the A350 is always pretty great anyway, and this flight is exactly what I need to get back home tonight. So how will it be? Is Thai on an upswing from their pandemic-era lows, or not so much? Let's check it out. Well, hello y'all, and welcome to Bangkok, Suvarnabhumi Airport. You were originally going to get a whole Etihad first class A380 fest. I was going to go Singapore, Abu Dhabi, London, and then get over to Stockholm, and it was going to be a lot of fun. I haven't flown first in a really long time, but I had to be back in Sweden a few hours earlier, and I just couldn't make that happen with the connections in Europe. I've done it once before where I had to switch to this last minute. This Thai flight tends to be pretty affordable in business class. I mean, still a bit expensive, but you can get business for relatively cheap, last minute, and it gets in at 6 in the morning in Stockholm. So if you're needing to get to Stockholm for the full day, it's really useful. So that's what you're gonna get. You're gonna get Thai Airways business class on the A350. Actually kind of curious to see what may be different, if anything, how they're doing. What's Thai like these days? I have to level with you, I've been having like a really rough few days. I wanted to say that because, you know, I was realizing, it's not a new realization, it's not like a very original thought, but a lot of what you see is the best of the best. It makes it look like I breeze through the world from one business class to another, having an amazing time. And I do truly value and cherish this life I get to live. Doing all this is amazing. I realize how privileged I am, but it can create a false sense of what reality is like, and reality is often a bit messier, a bit more difficult, sometimes very difficult. So I might be a little bit downbeat. Sorry, Thai Airways, in advance if I'm gonna see things in a sort of negative light. I'm trying to push through it anyway and make a video anyway. I think everyone goes through this kind of thing from time to time, including, you know, people that make it look as if they never do, like I probably do. I don't know if you ever saw that SNL skit, which is one of my favorites ever, Adam Sandler doing Romano tours. It reminds me of that. You should check it out. I'll put a link below in the description if you're curious, but it's really funny. He's got a travel, it's the idea is that he's got a travel agency, and he says something to the effect of, I just want to remind you, we'll adapt it for the airplane video. It's like, I do these tours to Italy. I just want to remind you, if you're sad when you're at home, you're going to be sad in Thai Airways business class. We're going to do 12 hours back to Stockholm tonight. If you stuck around for this super long intro, I commend you. Let's get down there and board the Thai Airways A350. The seats and cabin are definitely looking a little worse for wear. Nothing too crazy, but you know, they're not in mint condition. And this terrible lighting doesn't help. I'm mystified as to why Thai Airways refuses to use any mood lighting. These middle-of-the-night departures are made so much worse for me with that ugly basic lighting on that makes everyone look and makes me feel like a bit of a corpse. But the setup of the seat is pretty good, especially if you get one of these that's closer to the window. You've got a pretty cool looking amenity kit here. It's definitely unique anyway. Plus an interesting little box of sweets, a hot towel, decent blanket and pillow, slippers, and headphones. Not bad, although the headphones are nothing to write home about. Oh, and how about this safety video, which feels to me a bit like an AI-inspired fever dream? Let me know what you think of it.
นำท่านโดยสารเดินทางไปยังสต็อกโฮล์มโดยเราใช้เวลาบินไปยังสนามบิน Stockholm อนันดา 11 ชั่วโมง 50 นาทีครับ
But let's get to the good stuff, which for me means the absolutely wonderful sound of this Trent XWB engine on takeoff. This just never disappoints, good lord. And now that we're cruising westward, let's get into the service. This caviar offering surprised me actually. It was the #1 kind of highlight of this flight, I would say. This stuff retails for over 100 euros for 50 grams. I had no idea Thai was serving this and I'm very happy about it. That's way more of a premium move than I expected. The main dish is a bit more average. Not bad, but given how well you tend to eat in Thailand, I find myself a bit disappointed with this. Maybe it's an unfair standard to hold them to? I don't know. What do you think? And as it's late, I asked them to set up the bed, which they promptly do. The flight attendant serving my aisle was definitely not the best. She barely spoke, in fact, and it gave the feeling she really didn't want to be there. This may have been a language barrier thing to some extent, or maybe she was just having a bad day, but that's really surprising to get on an Asian airline especially, where at the very least service tends to be done by the book and with a certain degree of politeness. It wasn't such a big deal, but I did notice. And this is a decent setup for sleeping. I had a hard time sleeping for very long at any one time, but I did go in and out of sleep for most of this flight. Hard to say how much of that was down to the seat and how much down to my own depressive episode, so I'll just say I think this is all pretty good. On my previous flight on this route, I did actually sleep quite a long chunk. As the sun rises over Eastern Europe, it's time for breakfast. Luckily, this flight is long enough that you can probably get enough rest even though they start serving breakfast way earlier than they really should. I always think that should be pushed to the absolute latest possible before landing, especially when you're landing at 6 a.m. local. Anyway, breakfast was a kind of fun, soupy rice dish, very Asia. I imagine this would not be for everyone, but I enjoyed it. And here we are for a nice landing back in Sweden.
ขณะนี้นะครับท้องฟ้ามีเมฆค่อนข้างมากครับอุณหภูมิขณะนี้คือ 5 องศาเซลเซียสครับในนามของบริษัทการบินไทยผมและลูกเรือทุกคนมีความยินดีที่ได้ต้อนรับทุกท่านและขอบคุณ
Thai Airways very much like they were when I did them a couple years ago. Pretty much identical, I would say. You know, it's all just a bit like pretty good, nothing too amazing. I feel like they could be more amazing. I think I remember them being a lot more amazing. Not a very memorable experience, I guess, you know? Cabin doesn't look particularly premium. They don't use the mood lighting, which would be an easy win. Breakfast too early. Unfortunately, a factor on many Asian airlines for some reason. If any of y'all can explain why they would serve breakfast and turn the cabin lights on 2.5 hours before landing at 4 a.m. local time at the arrival city. Curious to know. Any cabin crew out there that can comment? Just don't get it. And yeah, you know, everybody, the flight attendant working my aisle was definitely not very into it at first. She seemed to warm up a bit, especially toward the end when she suddenly said, "Are you a YouTuber?" So YouTube helps again, or the big camera piques people's interest at least. But yeah, you know, nice way to get back to Stockholm. Great, I'm back here now. I don't have to catch some other little European short hop, and it's comfortable. I could sleep more or less. I mean, I was having trouble sleeping, but not because of the seat, more because of my internal monologues. But anyway, so I hope you enjoy that, and let me know if you found Thai to be any different in your experience, if you've flown any of these long hauls. 12 hours went by pretty fast, so can't really complain. I'm here in one piece, relatively rested. We'll see how the day goes. It's 6:30 in the morning. It's kind of a long one to get through. Anyway, thanks for joining. As always, really fun to have you along for this one. And thank you to all you members who've been joining. I think it's up to 17, maybe 18 now. Amazing. And be sure to check it out down below. Click that join button. See you next time.